Thanks, Julie. Good day and happy holidays to everyone on the call, and thank you for joining us for the next 60 minutes. As Julie stated, my name is Jared Kramer, and I'm an account executive at Logan Consulting and one of the senior team members of the Microsoft Dynamics AX and 365 for Finance and Operations consulting practice. Logan Consulting is a gold certified ERP implementation partner with Microsoft. And we are excited today to be here with D365 UG and AX UG presenting a webinar on year-end close in D365 for Finance and Operations Enterprise Edition. Let's first walk through today's agenda. So today we're going to begin with a short, quick introduction to Logan Consulting, and then we're going to quickly jump into the webinar. Chris Rusing from our team will dive into some setup and configuration as it relates to year-end close, and then jump into the demo itself. And then we'll open it up for some questions and answers. So for those of you on the phone whom haven't heard of Logan before, I wanted just to give you a quick introduction. We were founded in 1992, and we've been implementing and supporting ERP customers for over 25 years. We're headquartered in Chicago, Illinois, and we deploy just over 80 consultants a year worldwide on our ERP-related projects. Although our experience spans over many industries, we do specialize in manufacturing, distribution, and professional service organizations. We support our Dynamics AX and 365 customers with assessments, implementations, and optimizations of their systems, harnessing a business process-focused methodology. As previously stated, we are an ERP Gold partner since 2003 and a very active AX-UG and 365 UG member and contributor since 2014. Like Julie said, Logan is also represented today by Chris Rusing, one of our AX and 365 for Operations consultants. Chris will be conducting the rest of today's presentation in demo. With that, I will turn it over to Chris. Chris?
Thanks, Jared. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about is a little bit of setup and configuration that's definitely needed before you're doing fiscal year end close. So the first thing I want to talk about is your general ledger parameters. And there's basically four main parameters that we want to definitely review before we run fiscal year close because they're very important. The first two are related to if you may have already ran fiscal year close. So the first configuration is called delete close of year transactions. Now this is used to specify whether the system generated opening transactions from a previous year-end close should be deleted when the year-end close is run again. So this again is only really needed or should be concerned about if you have already ran the year-end close process and you want to run it again. So if this is set to yes, the voucher for the previous year-end close will be deleted and a new voucher will be created for all accounts for the beginning balances. If it's set to no, then the previous voucher will remain and a new voucher will only be created for the adjusting entries at year-end close. So it kind of depends on, maybe you've already ran year-end close and you want to just get your opening transactions for 2018. And you want to have maybe a different voucher if you had some adjusting entries. If you reopened, maybe the December period, then you could run this again. And if it was set to no, then the adjusting entries would have a different voucher. The next is create closing transactions during transfer. So this parameter is used in order to bring the balances of the profit and loss accounts to zero. So if it's set to yes, two transactions are created. One voucher is created in the fiscal year being closed to bring the balances of the P&L accounts back to zero, and a second voucher is created in the next fiscal year for the beginning balances. If it's set to no, then only a single voucher is used for the next year beginning balances. And the third one, which is maybe the most important and should definitely at least be looked at prior to running fiscal year close, is the setting fiscal year status to permanently close. If this is set to yes, then your prior periods in your fiscal year of, let's say, 2017 will be set to permanently close, which is as serious as it sounds. As many of you may know, you should always be putting your periods on hold so you can then go and open them back up. If you change it to permanently closed, then you cannot open it up. So this should always probably be set to no. I am not familiar with anyone that really wants any periods set to permanently close. The last one that I want to discuss is the voucher number must be filled in. So you can either set this yes to no. We suggest best practice that it should be set to yes, because then your opening transactions will have a voucher associated with them. So when you're going through your trial balance, you can see that the voucher for an opening transaction will be different than a voucher for your regular transactions that will be occurring in 2018. A couple things when you're about to run setup is that you must be aware that you have actually a 2018 fiscal calendar created. You can create that in general ledger calendars, fiscal calendars. So if you don't have your 2018 year created, then you must create it, obviously, to bring those opening transactions for the next fiscal year. Also, you should put all your prior periods on hold. That means that you won't be able to post any transactions to those prior periods. You can go do that in the general ledger calendars and ledger calendars area, and I'll show that in the demo. So now we're going to get into the demo, and we will be running the year-end close process in D365 for finance and operations. So here I am my demo environment. Let me try to just maximize this. And I want to go into the general ledger. And I'm just going to show really quickly here the general ledger parameters. I just want to show where those four toggles are right here. So if we go under ledger and then fiscal year close, here are our four main parameters that I was discussing earlier. Obviously, I've set fiscal year status permanently to close to no. I want my voucher number to be filled in. Those are some of the parameters that I discussed earlier. If we go to our general ledger calendars, fiscal calendars, you can see that I do have my 2018 calendar created. Let me see right here. Now let me just go to my actual calendar that I'm using for this entity, for this USMF. So here I actually have all the way to 2021, but as you can see, my 2018 is created. And in order to put periods on hold, you want to go into here. So I do have them open, but it would be best practice. Obviously, if you're going through the year, you're gonna probably have, your June, July, August, all the way up to December period status to on hold. So this is where you would do that. So now I want to actually run the year-end close process. So I'm just gonna go to general ledger, and then we have this period close area, and we're gonna go into the year-end close. So the main reason why I wanted to kind of highlight this functionality is that it's a lot different than the AX 2012, and one of the great things about it is that you can actually run year-end close for multiple entities at the same time. So right here we actually have a group of our U.S. companies. We have USMF and USRT and USSI, and as you can see, we can all kind of put it into this group to run fiscal year close. Before we do that, actually really quick, I wanted to discuss this area down here. It's not very descriptive of what's going on right here, but basically we're discussing what financial dimensions will be transferred to the opening balances at year-end close. So for all balance sheet accounts, ledger accounts, we will be transferring the dimensions associated with the balance sheet. So if this was selected to no, then it would just transfer the balances by the ledger account and not any dimensions. Usually people do not have many dimensions associated with their balance sheet accounts. So maybe they have a business unit. I think it's good to set this to yes. It gives you more visibility into what opening transactions should be from your account string. But a little bit different is we have the transfer profit and loss dimensions. So the difference really is we have close all or close single. So if we close all, say for this business unit, then every transaction that has the financial dimension business unit, it will close it all for each one. So there, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for business unit, then each transaction that had the ledger account 1 and then ledger account 2, it will close all of those and give you basically all the data that you have in your last year into the new year. Now, if you close single, then you can actually choose a specific business unit to close it to. So all transactions posted with that financial dimension, say home, will be summarized into the retained earnings beginning balance for the dimension entered. So if we have all the, whatever profit and loss account, and then we choose it for this business unit 1, then all the retained earnings, all the dimensions, all the ledger accounts for this business unit will all be closed into this dimension. But I'm going to just leave it to close all, and then we'll actually just go to the run fiscal year close. Now, this is a great thing about D365 is that in prior versions in AX 2012, you'd actually have to go in, select each, in each entity, you have to go in and select the legal entity that you would want to close in. It would kind of take a lot of time. Now in this, you can kind of just click this check mark and it will just close all of them at the same time. So we're going to go okay. And then we're closing the 2017 year. Right here, I'm actually going to put in my voucher. So I'm going to say, okay, this is the year end 2017 demo. So that's my voucher that it's required. And also we're going to have, it's also running on a batch. So you can go close this and then continue doing any kind of other tasks that you may need to continue doing. If you have this selected for yes, undo previous close, then this will basically run a batch job to just undo a close that you've already done. But obviously I haven't closed it yet, so I'm just going to leave it to no. And I'm going to say okay now. So now this has been added to the batch queue. So we can just check on the status of that in a second here. And this is actually kind of good, I guess, if you aren't familiar with batch jobs. They're found in the system administration module. And right here under inquiries and batch jobs, we can kind of see what batch jobs are going on. So if we can just search on our job description, run, then we can see right here we can see that it's about halfway done almost. So if you're not familiar with batch jobs, you can kind of tell, these are the different batch jobs that are running at a time. And if we click refresh, then it should give us an update. So we're almost complete there. Let me just give it one. We'll have to wait a couple more minutes. In the batch job, it may not be, it depends on how quickly it runs with how many companies you're running and how many transactions you have in your system. It could take a couple minutes, maybe 10 minutes. This one really shouldn't take too long because it's just demo data. So maybe a couple more seconds to finally finish up and we'll be able to see what that looks like. course, when it's a demo, it always goes slower because people are watching.
We could sing Christmas carols.
Yeah. I don't have much of a singing voice, fortunately.
Oh,
I'm not going to. But once it does run, and it'll probably be finishing up in a few seconds here, we'll want to go to our trial balance. And we'll want to calculate our balances for the 2018 year. And okay, you can see that it's run now, so we have opening balances. So if I click on the opening balance list for the transactions, you can see my voucher, my year-end 2017 demo. So these are my opening transactions. Obviously, with the balance sheet, this is a balance sheet account, but we have many dimensions on here, so it took all of those. If we went, let's see, if we go back really quick and maybe look at a profit and loss account, or here are our retained earnings. We can look at retained earnings. Obviously, I did close all, so it has all of the dimensions. So if I would have chose maybe a specific business unit such as 001, then we would have just closed all of, the transactions as 001. But I didn't do that. I just did close all. So that is what's going to show up in your opening transactions. And really quick, I just want to show the year-end close module. If I go to my U.S. companies, it tells me the date in which we actually ran this. So that's today's date. So it's closed for all these entities. So if I went to, let's see, USRT, you could say that this is actually a shared screen. So you could run the close from any entity, but you can run it as a group. So if I went to the trial balance for this USRT legal entity and change this for the opening year of 2018 and calculate balances, network connection has been lost and now it's been reestablished. Okay, I think people can hear me. I'm not sure. It looks like we might have run into some technical issues, but I just wanted to show really quick that we have our opening balance for this legal entity as well with the same voucher. So I think they made a lot of great improvements that you can just kind of close all your legal entities at the same time or multiple entities at the same time. It makes it a lot easier and a lot more efficient. So with that, here is our contact information if you want to reach out to either Jared or I, your emails and our phone number, and also our website. I did write a blog about running fiscal year close in 2012. So if you are still using 2012, I'd be happy to share that blog with you if you're about to run fiscal year close for that. So please let me know if you need that blog. And with that, I'll leave it up to the Q&A portion.
Thanks so much, Chris. We don't have any questions in the queue. I'll give folks just a minute to enter one if they have a question. And otherwise, remind them that they'll get a link to both the PowerPoint presentation and the webinar recording when this is complete. So as we don't have any questions in the queue, I want to thank you for presenting today and wish you all a great holiday and a happy new year. We'll talk soon. Bye.